Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel for another exciting and fun-filled episode on this Passagemaker dinghy build series. We got lots to do, so let's get at it. Alright, as I'm working my way back down the boat on the inside, while it's upside down, I got to these stainless steel screws that hold the bottom skid beams on there. And I think I'm going to go ahead and try to take them out. I expect them to snap off and not come out, but let's see how this goes. I'd rather have a hole there than these screws sticking there anyways. So let's see if we can get these out of here. Yep, it came right out. Nice. Nice. Alright, so I got, let's see, 4 more to go here, I think. So let me get those out of there, and then I'll probably be doing sanding. Maybe I'll show you some of that. But still got quite a bit of sanding to do. And then my plan today is to get this boat mostly done on the inside and flip it over so we can get ready to do some epoxy filleting. Alright then, so I worked my way through the middle section, had a couple spots I needed to hit. Probably needs a little bit more work, but I'll wait and see how that looks once I flip the boat over. So I'm going to work on this section here. I tried to use the biggest tool first and then work my way down and finally end up with hopefully just a little bit of hand sanding. So I figured I'd at least show you a little bit of this, and it's pretty difficult filming underneath here, but we'll see how it goes. Wasn't much to get with that orbital sander, but the oscillating tool with the sanding pad on it works pretty good at getting in the corners and some of the finer, smaller areas to get into. Then finally, before the hand sanding, I get the old rotary tool out with the sandpaper wheel here on it, and see what else I can get. And finally, the old hand sanding, and then if I need to get in a spot, I'll use this little dowel to get in there, but it's mostly comes down to just finishing off with some hand sanding. Alright, still got cleanup to do, but just some other spots, but that's about how I do it for most of the sanding. Like I said, good upper body workout. One thing I'm wondering about, if you can still see it, let me show you here. So this gap here between the doubler on the transom and the transom, I'm really thinking just fill that hole in with thickened epoxy, and that's both on the stern and the bow. They both have this gap here, and you can't really get in there to sand it very good, and I think I'm just gonna clean it up a little bit more, and then when it comes time to do the fillets all around it, I'm just gonna layer the layer the epoxy in there, the thickened epoxy, and fill that gap on all of them. It seems like it's just a spot that is going to be hard to paint, going to be hard to get in there and clean, and I think I'm just going to fill it in and put a fillet all the way from here all the way up to here and try to taper it off a little bit or something. I don't know. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and pause here, keep on sanding, and hopefully we'll be back today to flip this darn boat over. All right, so I think I'm ready to give this this bow flipping a whirl here. I got ratchet straps in the back when I want to switch out the back ones. Hopefully on the front here I won't have too much problems. The first thing I need to do is get it up. Oh, sorry about the wind noise. We got a front coming through, which is one of the reasons why I'm kind of rushing a little bit to get this done today. So hopefully we got good temperatures tomorrow. Anyway, so I need to get the boat up off the sawhorses here, and then start manipulating it. So let me get that going first here. All right, so we're free floating now, which is kind of scary. So I'm gonna lift this side up. So I'm gonna drop this other side down. Now let's see how that goes. Whoa! Jeez. Oh God. Well, that was a surprise. Have to think about that. Jeez. Well, it kind of worked pretty good. Oh, jeez. All right. Well, let's see. So let's. I don't need to lower that side down. I hope I got that on camera, because that was pretty exciting. All right. So now I need to let's lower this side down. I guess I don't need to worry about anything here. And then when I go to right it back up, I just got to reverse that procedure and maybe make it a little bit more under control. All right, I'm gonna hold it right there. I don't think it's quite level. I need to straighten out the front here and then get the supports underneath it that I usually use. See how that works. Sweet. All right, let me pause here. I'm gonna go ahead and like I said, get everything supported underneath the swinging boat here, and then start vacuuming up and making sure that I'm all ready to do the fillets on the seats here, and a couple other spots that I want to make sure are good to go. Yep. All right. Looking good. Whew. That was a surprise. All right, I think I'm almost level, probably off a little bit, but I guess it probably doesn't matter too much for this next part. Yeah, so I'm going to leave the straps on it. It gives me a little bit more stability and less stress on the parts underneath holding up. I just got a bucket with a 4x4 holding up the bottom, but it's enough to just steady it up a little bit. But anyway, so I got just got some hand sanding to do in a couple spots along here that couldn't really see when the boat was upside down. So I'll be probably going through and hand sanding through most of it, but for overall it looks pretty good. So yeah, so I'll go ahead and do some hand sanding and clean up and get ready. I'll have to look at the temperature forecast, of course, the tomorrow being Thanksgiving, but I think I'll probably be out here most of the morning anyways, putting in a fillet around these the bow and the stern seats. So I'll pause here, we'll get cleaned up and get ready to do some filleting tomorrow morning. Alrighty, it's next day, and we have nice wiped down areas for where we're going to put the fillets all around the outside in those gaps there on both the bow and the stern. I've wiped those down. A couple other areas I wiped down just in case the along the bottom of the trunk there. If we can, if I've got enough left over, I may run a bead along the bottom. And yeah, so let's, oh yeah, the blue tape. Yeah, so the bow knee and the stern knee go there. They kind of show in the manual here that the that it goes on after the fillets, but after the fillets are placed in. I was gonna actually put them in place last night, but the angle here isn't lining up quite right, and it's even far enough out where I think I'm gonna have to do some adjustments on this angle where it's just not quite right. So I've already got some lines put in there. I'll double check those, but we need to do both the bow and the stern knee adjustments here to get them to fit in better. So I've put the blue tape there in place just so I don't have to clean up the fillets when we get around to doing that. So all right, let me get you set up here and I'll get busy mixing some epoxy. It is a nice comfortable 61 degrees in here, so I think I've got plenty of time this morning, Thanksgiving morning, to do this filleting job and be one step closer to being done. All right, then, almost forgot to hit record. I was talking away, I was going, wonder if I hit that darn record button or not. So anyways, I'm just prepping here with some clear epoxy, do the wet out. Alrighty, now to make this into some thickened. Yeah, got a pretty big helping here of thickened epoxy, so let's get at this. Pretty big gap on this these doublers here on this take apart bulkhead. Kind of hard to judge how much to get in there. Alright, now to get my filleting stuff going here. Picked up one of these fancy chisel stick kind of things here. Happened to see them up on Amazon. I think they were a pack of a few for $4 or $5. So I was like, yeah, that might work. Yeah, I like the edge there. All right, time for another batch of epoxy. I think I'll just do a small one, enough to finish up this forward seat here. Probably 3 or 4 pumps ought to do it. So I still need to wet out the back. All right, hopefully this will be enough. Alrighty, just need to do a little bit more cleanup. I'm gonna call this a chisel stick, just because I don't know what else to call it. I'm gonna let that harden. I'm not gonna touch it anymore, and let it gel up, and I'll come back and see if we can clean it up a little more with some denatured alcohol. Smooth it out a little bit. Should be fine. It'll be fine. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and turn off the recording here. I'm gonna do the back. I've got a couple spots. I got the holes to do where I took the screws out, and so we'll be back later or tomorrow to see how it turned out. All right, I came back out and smoothed down the all the fillets with denatured alcohol and cleaned up a little bit. As usual, I'll have plenty of sanding to do. I had enough. I did do like a skim coat on there, and I did the holes where we had screws, and then of course along the back here. I think it came out okay. And as I was using the denatured alcohol on these fillets, it's like, you know, the ones they show in the pictures are a lot bigger than this. So I don't know. I think the bigger they are, the harder they are to make look decent. So I think I'm okay with this. Like I said, it'll take quite a bit of sanding, and so the plan is to we'll let it dry. I'll do a round of sanding, and then the whole interior of the boat will get a coat of epoxy. But first, I need to do the bow and the stern knees. We had some they're off by a little bit there, and I'm hoping to get these tacked in place today, and then run another fillet along those guys tomorrow morning. But so what I did is I actually took my digital guy here and measured the for the bow. It was 110 degrees, 110 and a half degrees, and the actual knees themselves were reading 113 and a half. So I need a degree and a half off of each side in order to to get them to fit. So what I did is out here on my sawhorse, oops, sun's right in the way. I went ahead and I don't know if you'll be able to see, but I drew a line, and now I've got this piece of sacrifice board here. It's just a piece of furniture or something I had from something. Anyway, so I've got it lined up there, so now I can just come along and sand this down so that it's level. So I hope that'll work, and then I'll do that on the other side, and we'll do a test fit. Yeah, it looks pretty close. There's I think I actually had two lines on there. Let's see if we can do this side here. This is a little bit longer. All right, let's give that a shot. All right, let's give this a test fit. All right, long side goes towards the front, and I'm off just a little bit more. It'd probably be okay, because I'm going to be putting thickened epoxy in there. Let's just go that. We'll take it down a couple more steps and see if we can get it just a little bit closer. So I'll pause here and we'll see what we can do. All right, took a little bit of sneaking up on it, but I think I finally got a good, pretty decent fit here. And I've gone ahead and put some marks on here so I know where I'm going. And also I've got the same thing on the back one. I've got some pieces of tape cut because in the manual, that's how they show to do it. So yeah, they show just putting in some thickened epoxy, peanut buttered underneath, and sticking it down with some tape. So that's what we're gonna do. And the temperature's still okay in here. I'll go ahead and mix up, clean everything up, mix up some thickened epoxy, and we'll see if we can get these tacked into place. All right, from what I can tell, this I didn't wet any of this out because from what I can tell, this is just meant to hold it in place, and then when later on when we come back and put in the fillets around the outside, that's what really holds it in place. So that's what I'm going with. Good, we got enough squeeze out around, I think. Not a lot of squeeze out, but a little bit. Make sure I'm lined up here. Take a look at it from the other end. Yep, that's going to be close enough for me. And I'll probably come back and clean up the edges just a little bit so I don't have to sand as much. So I'll just try to work around that tape without making too much of a mess. That tape, not real happy about that. All right, anyway, so yeah, so let me, I'll go ahead and do the back. We'll pause here for today. And then it's Thanksgiving, so I got football to watch and food to eat. So we'll pause and be back tomorrow. All right, it's next day now, and it looks like these have dried. So hopefully, when we take this tape off, these knees won't come off with it. Looks like they did pretty good here. Geez, they seem pretty solid. Do have a little bit of cleanup on both sides to do. I scraped away some pretty good chunk of it before it dried yesterday, but just a couple spots that I want to touch up there to before I put the fillets on. The next step fillets, and this one back here doesn't look too bad either. This one was a little bit more fidgety as far as getting it to get in the right place. I think it's pretty close. As long as it doesn't look too bad, I'm not really too worried about the actual placement of these guys. So all right, so good. So that looks good. So yeah, so I need to clean up just a little bit here before I put in the fillets on these, the bow and the stern. I've only got a couple extra pieces here left to go to put in. One is this motor pad that goes in the back that I forgot all about. Well, I didn't forget about it, just hadn't got to that part in the manual yet. So it just goes on the back, and they just show some clamps holding it on. The problem is that I need to sand where this goes back here. So yeah, so I'll need to get a pretty good 80 grit sand on the area where this goes before we glue that in place. And then the other part here is this mast step that we don't have a lot to do with it, but what we do need to do is get it located and then drill a couple holes in the seat here. I want to take a look and see. They show wing nuts and flat washers here. Yeah, so I want to look at this a little bit closer, see what hardware they're using, see how we're going to do the drilling through here. We may do a drill, fill, and drill on this, but let me take a little bit closer look on that. So yeah, so my plan for this morning anyways is to go ahead and do the cleanup on both of the knees, then sand off where the motor pad goes. Then I'll do the I may take a look and do the measurement on this guy, and then lastly, before I call it a morning here, I'll do the fillets on both knees, and so we get a good cure on them, and hopefully be back out tomorrow morning to start doing some other work on this. So yep, let me pause here and get busy, and we'll be back. All right, so looking at the instructions here on installing the mast step for the Gunter sloop rig, that's what I've got. It shows it's pretty straightforward. It shows you setting up make sure you got a good center line, and then drilling some holes. And of course, I need to make this a little bit more complicated. And I do have I did check the hardware. I got the hardware. It's quarter 20s and some wing nuts. It's all pretty straightforward. The problem, and just to reiterate that this is how I'm doing it. This is not a how-to. It's just how I'm doing it. So I want to oversize drill those holes put thickened epoxy in there, and then re-drill the holes to give me better wear and hopefully a little bit better build. The other thing is I'm going to need to invest in some Forstner bits, some Forstner drill bits. I don't have any, so I'm going to have to get some, because this is a, what was it, a 2.5 inch, inch and a half, something. Anyways, I've got the mast, a part of the mast here, and you can see that's a pretty tight fit. The mast goes in there, pretty tight fit. By the time you put epoxy in there, you know, because we're going to epoxy and varnish this this part, it comes on and off as you need it. And so by the time you do varnish and epoxy on this, that you're not going to be able to fit this in without getting rid of that, and then that leaves that part unprotected. So I think I want to do a drill and fill on that part there too. I think we'll be okay. Like I said, I need to get some Forstner bits, and then we can fill this in, and then we'll have to drill this out, fill it in, and then re-drill it. And I think I can do that on the drill press fairly accurately. But anyway, so first off, I want to go ahead and get these holes drilled out. It's another thing that it's just small, but it kind of bugs me. So this curve here of the seat, I haven't done anything to it. This is the way it came. This is the way it came. And then the curve of this whatever they call it, the support, the mast support. The curve doesn't line up. It drives me crazy. There's no reason why the curve of this mast support and the seat that it goes on shouldn't line up. I just don't understand it. Anyways, I did find I just used the speed square and got the center, and then I've got the line stretched through, and it looks pretty good. It's really hard to tell with the parallax here. I think we're pretty darn close to the center line on that. And yep, so now I'm going to go ahead and I'll set you up. I'll drill these holes out. The reason I want to do that now is because when I put the motor pad on the back, I should have thickened epoxy left over that I can fill these holes in with that. Yeah, so I still have to wait to get the Forstner bits for this. Yeah, so I can at least fill in these holes. So I got it clamped in place, and I also have Alright, these knees didn't come out too bad, I don't think. A little bit of cleanup, do a little bit of sanding, and I think they're fine. The bow one looked good, the aft one looks okay. Did have a small problem here on this mast partner, where I put the epoxy in. Looks like I didn't quite get it through, so what I'm thinking I'm going to do, this one is probably okay, but this one I didn't get enough thickened epoxy down in there. So I think I might just go ahead and drill both of them out, and now when I put the motor pad on the back here, I'll go ahead and have some extra thickened epoxy, and I can put I can fill those holes back in. So I've got the pretty good sand on this, and the motor mount comes in here, and it should be pretty straightforward. I need to make sure I get a good spot on this, measure it out again, double check, and then draw an outline around where the pad goes, and I'll use clear epoxy to prime the surface here and put the thickened epoxy here and slap it on there, and I think this is the last part that gets glued on. I think we're done with, for the most part, with all of our fielding and all of our gluing on of parts. I'm still kind of in shock that might be the case, but I think we're pretty good here on that this is the last glued in part. Everything else gets put on with hardware, and all of the major fillets are done. I might have a couple spots like the daggerboard chunk where we clean up, and we may go back over and do some cleanup on some of the fillets, but I think for the most part we're done. Pretty crazy. Anyways, let me pause here. I'll get set up and we'll do this last part here this morning. Yeah, a little cramped back here. Hopefully you can see this. Start off with the clear epoxy and just do a little priming here. I don't want to put an awful lot, just out any bristles, just once. Alrighty, thicken this up. Alright, yep. Alright, good. So I did. I'm just going to do this here. It's probably a bad idea, but the epoxy I did make quite a bit thicker than I think I'd like. But we'll give it a shot here and see how this goes. Yeah, I think this is a touch too thick. In fact, I know it is. All right, so how do you unthicken thickened epoxy? Well, I'm going to go ahead and mix up 1 pump worth and try adding that to thin this out. This is one of the things I've been thought I might get to sooner or later, where you over mix, put too much thickener in, and how do you get out of that? Well, I think the answer is to add clear epoxy back in. Let's see how this looks. Hopefully you can probably not being a very good YouTuber here, but let's see here. Yeah, so that looks better. Yep. So if you over thicken some epoxy, then just put in a little bit of clear epoxy and all your troubles go away. These serrated trowels here, I think, are something that should be included in your kit when you're working on epoxy like this. Alrighty. Now to see if we can get this stuck on here without making too much of a mess. Of course, I've got 1 pencil mark and I covered it up with epoxy quite a bit, but let's see, I think we're pretty close there. Boy, this really wants to walk around. I should have used some locating pins. I knew it. This really wants to walk around on us here. All right, and then in the middle here, I'm going to use a board down here to get pressure. It's the only way I could figure out to get pressure down here on the bottom, because it curves down quite a bit. And we'll use my big old pair of grips here. All right, let's get this cleanup going here. Hopefully you're still recording. Yep. These little chisel sticks do work pretty. All right, better stop messing around with it now before I make a problem I can't fix later on. I think we're pretty good. I think pretty close to the center. I think we got some good, at least a good shot at getting glue joint going there. So let me go ahead and clean up and we'll finish up this episode. All right, I think that's going to do it for this episode. A couple pointers though, things I wanted to point out. So I showed you how not to turn the boat over. You don't want to. You want to be careful when you're flipping the boat over using the block and tackle like this. But no harm, no foul, I guess, kind of thing. We survived and no damage to the boat. So, like I said earlier, I think that motor pad was the last part that gets glued in. I don't think there's any more major filleting to do. The next step I need to do is to do a good sand on the boat, on the interior of the boat. Then we're going to put 2 coats of epoxy on the whole interior, a lot like what we did on the exterior, except better. See, we do it better this time. And then we got a couple other things. Most of what we've got left to do is sanding, painting, varnishing, and putting some hardware on. So the end is in sight. I think we got a good shot at getting this finished up in the next month or two. So anyways, I want to say thanks for watching. Thanks for your support. Make sure you're hitting that like button. Please leave me any comments, questions, suggestions down below. Please tell your friends about me, and please subscribe. Everyone, take care and be good.